Halloween in summer. What is that called? Summerween. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mary, and today's video is going to be my July TBR.
I should have told you that I loved you one more time.
Now, if you're new, then you may not know, but every single month on my channel, I do play the game Sorry to pick my TBR. And basically how I play is the first card that I draw is going to be the number of books that I read that month, and then every card after that determines the moves that I will make. And the spaces that I land on have prompts on them, and then I pick a book to fill those prompts. However, things are going to be just a little bit different this month. I'm still going to play Sorry the way I normally do, but I'm also going to pick 4 tarot cards for my tarot deck because I am actually participating in the Tarot Card Readathon, which is a 10-day readathon, I believe, 12-day readathon. It's a 2-week readathon. I don't know why I thought it was only 10 days.
Is it possible you're wrong?
No.
But I'm going to be participating in the Tarot Readathon from July 10th through July 24th, so I'm using my tarot cards, obviously, to pick the prompts for that. I will leave at least one of the host videos down below so you can figure out the rules if you're interested, because I'm not going to rehash it all here, because I believe all 4 of them have videos on it. Also, I'm going to be doing Summerween for the first week of July. It's the 2nd through the 10th, which is just a readathon hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. I don't think there's another host for that, but again, I'll link their videos, or at least one of their videos, down below. So if you're interested in the rules and the prompts for that. But without further ado, let's figure out how many cards I'm drawing this month. 8, so we'll read 8 books this month. So I drew 8 cards. Oh, I forgot to say, I'm starting up here on mythology because that's where I landed last time. So move forward 3, can't go anywhere. Sorry, add another card. And before I even got a card to move with, I drew a sorry, so that means I'm going to be reading 9 books in the month of July. Move forward 10 or backwards 1, so we'll move backwards 1, and that's Smut. And the first prompt that I landed on was Smut. So for this, I'm going to be reading Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, which I believe is a very smutty romance. I think it's new adult, but it's an age gap romance about this girl who has a boyfriend, and something happens where she and her boyfriend have to go live with her boyfriend's dad, and then she and the dad have a relationship. I don't really know much more about it than that. I've heard people really like this book, so I'm hoping that I like it as well. I've just recently started reading romancy type books, and I've really been enjoying them. And I've also just gotten to the point in my life where I'm no longer embarrassed by sex scenes in books. So round of applause.
Please clap.
Thank you. But yes, I'm very excited to be reading this, and that will hopefully be a quick, easy read. And I think it's free on Kindle Unlimited. So just an easy thing to knock off my list. Move backwards 4. A book with more than 500 pages. The next prompt that I landed on was to read a book that is more than 500 pages. And for this, I'm going to be reading The Final Empire, or my copy just says Mistborn. I don't really know why, but it is the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. Is it just called Final Empire in the UK? Can someone make this make sense?
She's got a point.
I bought a box set of mass market paperbacks, and perhaps that's why it's different. I don't really know. But this is a fantasy series that I was supposed to start this month in May, and in June, sorry. And I just did not get to it, so I'm hoping that I can get to this in July. I'm trying to, it's like an informal buddy read with some of my friends from college. They have all, I believe, read through the first era of Mistborn, so I'm trying to catch up with them and then read the rest of the Cosmere. But from what I understand, the Mistborn series is about this fantasy world, and you're sort of starting 1,000 years after the big battle where the bad guy wins. The way the magic system works is that people have these abilities based on the metals that they ingest, and some people can just ingest one metal and control the abilities that come with that, but then there are people called the Mistborn who can ingest all of the metals and have all of the abilities. And I believe we're following a street urchin named Ven. I could be wrong about that, I don't know what her name is, who is found to be a Mistborn by another Mistborn who's in hiding for whatever reason, and they sort of develop a friendship and have a found family element to that. So I am excited to finally read this. I fully intended to get to it in June, and it's June 24th when I'm filming this right now, and I just don't see it happening for me. So unfortunately, this will be pushed to July, but I'm still very excited to read it. And my copy is 643 pages. So move forward 10 or backwards 1. So we have horror or ghosts. I'm gonna go horror, I think. That's hard. Yeah, we'll go with horror. The next prompt that I landed on was horror, and so for this, I'm gonna be reading Salem's Lot by Stephen King, which is gonna fill the horror prompt of the Summerween Readathon, and it's also gonna fill the paranormal prompt from the Summerween Readathon, because I believe Salem's Lot is about vampires who have lived in this town called, I think, Salem's Lot, and are coming back to life for the first time. I don't know very much about this, but I have been trying to read a good amount of Stephen King. It's very hit or miss for me, and I tend to like his concepts more than I like the actual books that he writes, if that makes sense. So I don't know too much about this one, but I am hoping to enjoy it. Move forward one. A new author. The next prompt that I landed on was to read a new author, and this can be an author's debut novel, a new author that's just come out, or an author that is new to me. And for this, I'm going to be reading The Chain by Adrienne McKenty, which I don't know if this is her debut novel. I don't even know if Adrienne McKenty is a girl, now that I've said her. It's a boy. So sorry. He's Irish. My bad. It doesn't matter. This is like a domestic thriller, I think, or like a suburban thriller, and it's about a woman, I think, whose child is kidnapped, because it's like this chain where you get your child back if you kidnap someone else's kid, if that makes sense. So it kind of reminds me of that movie, The Box, I think, with Cameron Diaz, where the guy came to her house and was like, if you push the button on the box, you get $1 million, but somebody random in the world will die. Do you know what I'm talking about? Maybe not. I'm excited to read this, and I'm going to use this for the prompt during Summerween to read a book at night, because I think I'm just going to read this as my like home from work evening book. Move forward to a memoir. The next prompt that I landed on was to read a memoir, and for this I'm going to be reading The Line Becomes a River by Francisco Cantu. This is a memoir, obviously, about a man who was a Border Patrol agent in 2008 to 2012. And it's just about his struggles with that and how he's tried to treat it as a job when he first started doing it. But the more he was involved with it, the more he realized that it was actually like kind of horrific what he was having to do. And then it says, plagued by a growing awareness of his complicity in a dehumanizing enterprise, he abandons the patrol for civilian life. But when an immigrant friend travels to Mexico to visit his dying mother and does not return, Cantu discovers that the border has migrated with him, and now he must know the full extent of the violence it wreaks on both sides of the line. So I'm really excited to read this. It's not super long. That's the author's note. Yeah, it's about 240 pages, so it'll be kind of quick. It's definitely going to be really hard hitting, but it is a topic that I have a lot of interest in, and obviously I just bought this at Half Price Books, so. Move forward 12. A short story collection. The next prompt that I landed on was to read a short story collection, and for this I'm going to be reading What It Means When a Man Falls from the Sky by Leslie Nika Arima. I don't know, Arima? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right at all. But this is a British-born author who I believe is, I want to say she's Nigerian in descent. Her book is classified under like genres as West African in like subgenre Nigeria. I don't know if that's true, but this is just a collection of magical realism short stories. I love magical realism short stories. I love very like odd, peculiar, fantastical elements in short stories. So I'm hoping that I like this one. Also, I'm glad to have a short story collection. I love a good collection of short stories. So I'm very stoked to read this. Move forward 12. A book that's less than 150 pages. Speaking of short, the next prompt that I landed on was to read a book that is under 150 pages. And for this, I'm going to be reading With the Fire on High. No. No, that's not what it is at all.
That is not correct.
For this, I'm going to be reading The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, which is just, it's an essay collection, but it's 2 like essays written as letters. I'm going to read you what this says. It consists of 2 letters written on the occasion of the centennial of the Emancipation Proclamation that exhort Americans, both black and white, to attack the terrible legacy of racism. So I've heard really good things about this. I've never read any James Baldwin before, and I'm really looking forward to doing so. He's one of the classics authors that I'm trying to read from this year at some point, and then eventually I would like to read all of his works. I'm doing the same thing with Toni Morrison at the moment, trying to read through a lot of her works. There are other classics authors. I'm also obviously doing that with Jane Austen right now, with my Jane Austen book club, which I will link down below. Live show is today at, I wish I knew, it's on my channel somewhere, you can find out, but it is the day that this video is going up, so you should tune into that if you've read Mansfield Park and are wanting to participate. Anyways, I'm really looking forward to reading this. And also, it's orange and black on the cover, so I'm going to try to read this during Summerween as well. If I don't get to it, it's not a big deal. But one of the prompts is to read a book with like Halloween colors on the cover, and orange and black are kind of Halloween covers. So I am really looking forward to reading this. I think that all of the prompts were intended to be used with mystery thrillers, horror books. But I like to play by my own rules, frankly. So that's what I'm going to do. Move forward 8. A book in a series. The 8th prompt that I landed on was to read a book in a series, and for this, I know this is probably annoying because I film my TBR ahead of time, but I don't know how I'm gonna feel after finishing Mistborn or The Final Empire, so I might head into Well of Ascension because I was planning on reading this in July anyways because I'm trying to read one of those a month. But if I'm not feeling it, because this is another super chunky book, I know I can get an ebook and an audiobook copy of the 3rd book in the Amber and the Ashes series. What is it called? A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir, because I was trying to finish that series sooner rather than later, so I don't have a bunch of like catch-up time because I feel like it's very fresh to my memory still. So I might do that instead. I haven't fully decided, obviously, but I'll just sort of read it out with that and see if I'm in the mood to read, like physically, another big chunky book, or if I'd rather listen to a YA fantasy. And finally, move forward 5. A friend recommend. The last prompt that I landed on for Sorry was to read a book that my friend recommended to me, and for this I'm going to be reading Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer, which was recommended to me a long time ago by my good friend Patience from college. I'm really excited to read this. It's part of a series, but I don't know that I'm going to finish it. I don't know that it's necessary to, but it's a YA contemporary. And I'm not super familiar with the plot of this, so I'm just going to read it to you. But it says, Juliet Young always writes letters to her mother, a world-traveling photojournalist. Even after her mother's death, she leaves letters at her grave. It's the only way that Juliet can cope. Declan Murphy isn't the sort of guy you want to cross. In the midst of his court-ordered community service at the local cemetery, he's trying to escape the demons of his past. When Declan reads a haunting letter left beside a grave, he can't resist writing back. Soon he's opening up to a perfect stranger and the connection is immediate, but neither Declan nor Juliet knows that they're not actually strangers. When life at school interferes with their secret life of letters, sparks will fly as Juliet and Declan discover the truth that might tear them apart. I haven't read the synopsis before, by the way. I'm sure I read it at one point, because otherwise I wouldn't have put it on my list of books that I was interested in reading, but it's been a long time. It's been like years, probably. But that sounds really good, actually. It sounds like something I could like. It sounds very like Cinderella story-esque, you know, where she's like writing the IMs or whatever, and they don't know that it's to each other. Anyways, yes, I'm planning on reading this. It'll be good. YA contemporary is quick to get through. I love a good YA contemporary. I honestly sometimes love a crappy YA contemporary because it just gets me right here. So long as it's angsty enough that I can relate to it, that's all I really ask for. Okay, and that was the last of my Sorry picks. So now I'm going to show you what I got in my tarot picks. I will just preface this by saying it is a 2-week-long readathon, so I picked 4 books because I typically read 2 to 4 books a week, and I didn't want to totally overload myself and stress myself out. Because to be honest, for the last half of this month, I have not been reading very much, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to commit to reading during that readathon. I have decided that I'm going to be on Team Wands, which is Jess from Book Past Bedtime's team. I don't really know why I decided that. I can't remember. But that's the team that I've decided on. And without further ado, I'm just going to show you the first card that I drew. So the first card is going to be the moon. The first card that we drew is the moon. I don't know why I said we as if I had someone else help me. It's just me. And for this, The prompt for the moon is to read a mystery thriller, and for this I'm going to attempt to read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I just bought, by Stuart Turton. And from what I understand, that this is about a murder, and we're following a detective, but each day on these 7 days, he wakes up in the body of a different person. And so he's trying to solve the crime. It's like Groundhog's Day, where he's reliving the same day over and over again, but he's also reliving it from different perspectives. So it's a little bit like Vantage Point as well. That's all I really know about this. I believe it's a closed circle mystery. At least The Devil in the Dark Water is, which is the other book that he wrote that I have not read yet. But people love this, so I'm very much looking forward to reading it. The second card is going to be the Ace of Swords. Then I drew the card the Ace of Swords. And the prompt for Ace of Swords is to read the newest book on your TBR. For this, I'm doubling up prompts for my Sorry game because I can do that. And I'm going to read The Line Becomes the River. The Line Becomes a River, excuse me, by Francisco Cantu. Because this, like I mentioned, I got the other weekend. I think, I'm like 99% sure, yeah, I got this and I got Mansfield Park, which I'm reading right now. So this is the most recent book that I've purchased and put on my, I'm calling this my TBR because it's books that I own. That's what I'm using for that. The third card will be the Four of Cups. The next card that I drew was the Four of Cups, and this is to read a book that you've been meaning to read for a while but haven't had time. So I'm going to say Horizontal Rest by Ned Russin. Unfortunately, typically when I do my TBRs, I prioritize library books because I rent them from the library and have to return them. So as soon as I put a book that I own on my TBR, it takes me forever to get to it. I think this was on my May TBR and it was definitely on my June TBR. And I'm not going to get to it. It's pretty short, so I think it'll be good and easy to read. And if you have not heard my spiel on this before, this is like a contemporary, an adult contemporary, I think, about a guy who's returning to his hometown for the first time after college. And it's sort of like one of those hometowns that not a lot of people leave, you know? So it's Wilkes-Barre, which I learned how to pronounce after talking about this book and pronouncing it wrong. But Ned Russin, the point, the reason I bought this book, is that Ned Russin is in the band Title Fight, which is one of my favorite bands. And also he's the musician behind the project Glitterer. And I think I'm seeing Glitterer at some point. I don't remember when, but I want to say that they're playing with another band that I like, that I'm going to see, but I could be wrong. Anyways, I want to have read this before I have to meet Ned Russin. I would also always call him the wrong name, so he'll never watch this video, but if you do, I'm really sorry. And the fourth card will be the Ace of Pentacles. Then the fourth card that I drew for the Tarot Readathon is the Ace of Pentacles, and this is to read a book with a one-word title. And for this, I'm going to be reading another book that I bought recently, which is Melmoth by Sarah Perry. This is, what is this even about? For centuries, a mysterious dark-robed figure has roamed the globe, searching for those whose complicity and cowardice have fed into the rapids of history's darkest waters. And now it is heading in our direction. The cover's beautiful. I have this on my TBR for a long time. I don't remember what it's about, but I'm intrigued. And I will be reading it this month, and then hopefully I'll be able to tell you what it's about. That's it. Those are the 11, 12, 13. I think that's 13 books on my TBR. So I didn't do great at keeping my TBR super low, but some of them are shorter, so hopefully that's okay. But let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books and how you felt about them. Also, please feel free to let me know if you're participating in any of these readathons. I will be attempting to vlog. I say attempting because I was trying to weekly vlog this summer and that has not happened. But I'm thinking because the vlogs will be themed vlogs again, I will have more motivation to vlog. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Give this video a like if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and I will see you in my next one.